Hello, loves. So glad to be here for July Psychic Q&A. Oh, goodness. So good to be here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel Leah Gerson. I am the operator at Doorway to Self LLC, where I combine psychic tools with counseling techniques to help people understand mental health from a different lens, an energetic lens, holistic lens. So glad to have so many of you already on here joining. Hey, Carolyn, Chad, Belle, thank you, Jesse, thank you all for being here. It's so good to be here. I just want to take a moment in gratitude for the community that we have all formed here together, because it's really awesome. And I just, I'll be honest, like much of the time when I come to do a psychic Q&A, I'm like, I'm really tired. I don't want to do this. I'm just being real with you guys. This is literally how I come into it. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't. And then like as soon as I get on, I'm like, this community though, and then the education that happens, and like how stoked, like I feel your hearts lighting as I'm saying this too, just like how stoked you guys are to like learn and challenge yourselves and grow. And it's like literally I push live and then I'm excited and I'm like, good, I'm so glad I'm here. I'm gonna take my glasses off just because of the glare, and I'm feeling like there's some extra energy flowing, so I just want to let my hair down as well, because it's pro tip, hair holds a lot of energy, so keeping it up can either keep it from like moving, like if there's too much you can keep it up, and if there's too much you can let it down and let it flow. So that's a cool little side trick there. All right, so we had a ton. Hey Kirsty, thanks for being here. Ton of anonymous questions come in, so I am going to go ahead and jump right in with that, and then I'm going to go ahead and answer whatever comes in, and I can just intersperse as per the usual. If you've never been here before, the way that this works is it is not a gallery reading, so I'm not answering personal questions about your life and your job and your spouse and all that kind of stuff. This is not a psychic reading. This is psychic education. So if you have a question about the psychic world, that's what I'm here to answer, and I am more than happy to do that. I'm really excited to. Okay. So the first question that came in, I do have to apologize. I'm so sorry to this individual. This question was actually asked last month, and I missed it. So I do apologize for having missed this question, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. So the question is, I've been wanting to ask you about psychedelics on mental health and psychic health for a while now, and I just didn't. And then I saw you post this. It was a post that I posted about Alex Gray, for those of you who are familiar, the artist, and his specific experience with psychedelics and how they helped him. So she said, I saw this post and thought, well, shoot, let's ask. For your next Q&A. I've never done them, psychedelics, but I've heard of such cool spiritual experiences, and I'd love to try them someday. What's your expert opinion? Okay, cool. So, love this question. This is so far out of the box of what I have answered before, and so I actually really enjoy kind of like the tangential nature of this. So, right off the bat, what I am going to say is I want to be careful in terms of legalese here, and just say I am not condoning anybody to do drugs. Okay, so I want to say that I don't sell drugs. I'm not saying go do drugs. Please, just like, yeah, just to cover my butt here, that's what I'm going to start this answer out by saying. And then I'm going to move into saying there has been an immense amount of research done, specifically in the last 10 years, but really since like the 60s, on the use of psychedelics in corroboration with mental health reparation. And the evidence, as opposed to it supporting anything negative has really been a positive outcome. There have been studies done on people who are suffering from depression because they're at the end of their life. Lots of cancer patients who then have experiences with mushrooms or LSD or MDMA, things like that, who then wind up becoming completely at peace with death through these experiences, and some of them even actually coming into full remission because they're so at peace with death. It like blows all their stress away and they're able to beat their cancer. I mean, this is really the power that's here. I'm going to go out on a limb and speak to my own personal experiences. I specifically have a rule with myself and with my body that I only work with substances that come from the earth. So I do not work with anything that is man-made. But I have had some really incredible experiences specifically with psilocybin, with medicinal mushrooms. I call them medicinal because I don't use them. I don't use them as drugs. And I think that that's really important to speak to here, as well as the intentionality, but we'll get there in a minute. Working with the medicine of mushrooms has really been very, very potent and powerful for me. And I actually worked with them for the very first time, shortly after I was diagnosed with bipolar 1, actually. So before I had my diagnosis revoked right after I was diagnosed. And I definitely attribute a lot of my recovery to my work with them. It's not something that I have done often. It's not something that I ever have done often. It's something that I work with when I am called to work with them. The spirit will call me, and that's when I will work with them. And it's usually somewhere between every 6 months to 2 years. So not often. I also have a lot of friends and clients and acquaintances who have also worked with them, not just mushrooms, but all across the board, different plant medicines. And it's been really powerful. The experiences have been very, very powerful for them. And I've seen some really huge shifts in human beings because of it. But like I said, I think it really is all about the intentionality. If you're doing drugs just to do drugs, it can actually be really dangerous. And also, if you're not fully mentally prepared for what could come from the experience or through the experience, that can also be really dangerous. So just be sure that you're prepared, that your entire life view could be completely shifted. Your entire perspective on yourself could be shifted. I've heard of some really dangerous experiences that have happened as well. So just being mindful too that you're being safe about it. And part of that safety is that intentionality. Part of that safety is also working with the medicine of the plants before you actually, or whatever substance you're working with, before you actually ingest it. So maybe sitting with the substance in your hand, or sleeping with it under your pillow, or meditating, asking to connect to the spirit of whatever this substance is. And I know that might sound really kind of far out and woo-woo and whatever, but the fact of the matter is we're all energy. And connecting into the energy of someone or something or some being is going to be possible no matter what. You could meditate on your table and connect into the energy of your table. It's all energy. It's moving molecules, right? It's moving particles that make that table a stable object. And so if you can connect into that, it's a possibility. So really connecting in with the energy. And I recommend doing that for really anything. It doesn't just go for psychedelics or plant medicines or anything like that. It's also for literally any herb that you're going to work with, or any stone that you're going to work with, or anything. They're all beings, and they're all tools to be working with, not using. And when we respect the tools that we're working with, they will work with us as well, rather than acting in rebellion or acting as captives or acting, etc. So all of that is stuff to be mindful of. Also, just making sure that you have safe support around you, right? Like, make sure that you're in a good mental mindset before you do it. Like, be sure you're in a good frame of mind, that you're not, like, freaking out or super anxious or something like that. Make sure that you're in a good frame of mind. Make sure that you have, if you're going to be working with the substances around other people, be sure that those people are people that you can trust and people who are not going to trigger you, or if they do trigger you, that it's an intentional trigger, and that you're being very intentional about that. I'm happy to speak more on that if you guys are curious about what that means. What else? Be sure as well, I would personally recommend also contacting somebody who is a helper of yours, to kind of be there for the after. So maybe like setting up a session with your therapist, or setting up a session with a practitioner of some sort for the day after, or a couple hours after, or a couple days after, so that you can process with them as well what the experience is. And there are also practitioners who will hold space for you, and with you while you are in your plant medicine journey as well. So that's also something to look for if you're wanting space held for you on that. There are definitely people out there who will do that. So I think those are my thoughts. Oh, also being careful too, this is important to mention, if you're on any medications, making sure, especially if you're on SSRIs, that would be something for mental health, right? The serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Those can be deeply affected by psychedelics, so just making sure that you're being mindful and careful of that. I would not ever recommend to somebody to do that while they're on SSRIs. Also, if you're in recovery, being mindful of that too. I have heard this go both ways. I have heard people who are recovering addicts who work with psychedelics, supposing that they were not their drug of choice, which is very rare to have anyways, but supposing that they were not their drug of choice, working with psychedelics, and it actually helps them to overcome their addictions, which is so incredible. I have also heard of it going in the opposite way and people relapsing. So just, if you're in recovery, being really mindful and being really honest with yourself, and maybe talking to your sponsor, and maybe talking to your peers, and whomever, and just getting a feel for it and really researching it. So I think that's my answer for that. Let's see who else is here. Hey Susie, hey Kate. Oh, Kirsty can't stay, but it was good to see you too. If you watch the replay, it was good to see you. Sarav, hey, thank you for being here. Jesse says, thank you, so interesting, thank you for sharing all of that. You're so welcome. I hope that was helpful to you. Ooh. And anybody else listening. Okay, cool. So just a reminder for y'all, I'm currently answering anonymous questions that came in beforehand, but if you have any questions that you'd like to ask live, now's the opportunity as well, and I'll just kind of jump back and forth between the two. So grateful you're here. Okay, so the next question that came in is, I just saw your post about twin flames. I'm in a very eerily similar situation where I am discerning if my twin flame is present. I wanted to ask if you believe you may have fallen in love with a narcissist or dark empath. My current husband cheated on me. I just found out. I knew in my soul the day it physically happened. I could feel the energetic connection that we had was either gone or very torn. It was nearly instant. Literally from Sunday being normal and fine to Monday, that dreadful feeling. Anyway, I just wanted to ask, you owe me nothing, you don't know me. So if you feel this is completely out of line, I understand. Thank you for considering and thank you for listening. So firstly to this person, I'm so sorry. Whether your husband is actually your twin flame or not, that's really a painful experience to have. And so my heart just goes out to you. I'm so sorry that this was the case for you. For those of you who have zero idea what this person is talking about, I highly suggest you go check out the post that I did. It would have been, I believe, in the middle of June or so, I did a post basically stating that the person I have been speaking about, who I've been saying is my twin flame for the last year or so, very publicly, I've been speaking about them since March 2020. The post states that they are not my twin, they were my false twin. And so that's what this person is asking about. Look, here's the thing. When it comes to twin flames, your twin flame is the exact same energy as you. They are your same frequency. They are your same soul signature. Okay? And that's the case because you literally are the same soul, right? You are the same soul that was needing to learn extra lessons for this lifetime, or to evolve for this lifetime, or needing that double-bodiedness for this lifetime. And so before you came onto Earth in this life, your soul split in two and incarnated in two different bodies, or maybe three, or maybe four, depending on what your mission was and kind of how that's working out, you know? So literally you are the same soul, you're the same frequency in two different bodies. And so the key is to know yourself. Right? I think so many people in the twin flame community are so hung up, and myself included, right? I definitely struggled with this in the past. So hung up on who's my twin flame. I know I have a twin flame. Where's my twin flame, right? Because if you are a twin flame, you will know it, like intrinsically, like since childhood. You'll be like, I'm missing a part of myself. You constantly feel like you're searching for something. You constantly feel like your mission in this lifetime is not going to be complete without another person. I mean, there are all of these things. You might even have like images or pictures of them as a kid, or just feelings of their feeling or something. I mean, there's all sorts of things. And so I think we're kind of pushed to look outside of ourselves so much of the time and get hung up and stuck on this idea of like, who's my, oh, maybe this is it, maybe this is it, maybe this is it. And like looking at all of these other people rather than looking within. And I know I say you're the same soul in two different bodies, but that doesn't mean that you're half a soul, right? You're whole. And the entire purpose of the twin flame journey is to be able to come back and find your whole self within your body, and your twin finds their whole self, hopefully, inside their body, and then the two of you can come together in mission, or stay separate and work missions separately. But the whole point is to remember who you are on a really whole level. And so by going outside of yourself to figure out who is my twin flame, is it this person, this person, this person, this person, you're actually avoiding the real work that you're supposed to be doing. And you're avoiding the entire purpose of the twin flame mission. And so how do I know if my husband is my twin flame is truly the question here, right? How do you know? You learn who you are. You will never be able to know this is truly my twin flame. I mean, truly, 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 if you don't know what your own energy is. I mean, you might have an idea, you might have a hunch, you might have an inkling, right? And of course, like on a deep level, but I'm talking consciously, right? You won't consciously ever be able to make that click of like, this is my twin, if you don't know who you are. So that's what happened on my path, on my journey, is I knew myself and my energy very well, but I knew it not as well as I thought I did. There were deeper aspects to the wholeness of my energy and the core of my energy than I ever thought possible. And in being very public about my twin flame experience, it actually pushed me into this place of connecting with myself even more deeply. It brought my true twin flame into my life as well, and him being around. The two of us played off each other to continue finding our own selves on deeper levels as well. And so yeah, all of that, because once you recognize yourself, you'll be able to recognize your frequency in someone else. And that other person's frequency within you. So I guess the question is how did I get so hung up and stuck on the fact, like, on this other person being my twin when they weren't? Well, actually, I don't doubt that it was complete divine timing that this question was asked at this exact moment. I started working with some new mentors a couple weeks ago, and our very first session together was a psychic reading that was one of the most, and energy healing sessions, that was one of the most intense sessions of my entire life. And in that session, it was illuminated for me, and this person knew nothing about my false twin experience or anything, but it was illuminated for me that essentially with my false twin in a past life, some karmic stuff had happened where I felt indebted to them, and I felt like I needed to save them somehow, and so I wound up actually giving a piece of my soul to them. And so that's why I was able to recognize myself within this person, because I literally was a part of them. My soul was literally there, but it also felt off, and it felt different because their soul was not my soul. It had a piece of my soul in them. So it's a little bit more complex, and I want to invite this person who asked this anonymous question to explore that idea of, like, do you feel indebted to your husband, or did you in a past life, like maybe getting an Akashic Records reading, or maybe doing some exploration for yourself on past life stuff, or working with a practitioner who looks into that kind of thing. I do past life work. I'm not really seeing people individually for basic sessions much anymore. You're welcome to book something with me, but I also have other folks I can refer out for on that as well. So yeah, I definitely would recommend looking into that and thinking about, like, yeah, maybe there's just a piece of your soul that's with them, and this is a karmic relationship, and yeah, looking into that. But in the meantime, I'm so sorry about what you've been going through. That's deeply upsetting, and I hope that you're able to find peace and healing through the situation. So yeah, I hope that helps. See, beautiful philosophy, thanks for being here. I'm not seeing any more anonymous questions, or excuse me, any more live questions coming in at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next anonymous one that came in. All right. Astrology. I have an astrology chart that, wow, astrology chart. I really wonder what an astrology chart looks like. That's intriguing. Okay, I have it's the end of a long day, y'all. I have an astrology chart that gives the solar fire interpretation in the form of a report. At the degrees of a sign is associated with a bodily organ or anatomy plus a Sabian inscription, i.e., and then they give a couple of examples. For those of you who are interested, Venus is in Aries in the first house at the 16th degree of Aries. It's associated with the body part of the wrist, and the Sabian symbol of a brown-skinned dancing in this brown. I don't understand this. I don't know. Brown something dancing in the sun. So anywho. Yeah, there's that. Another example is Mars in the sign of Virgo in the 7th house, and it's at the 10th degree of Virgo. It's associated with the left hepatic lobe and bile, and the Sabian symbol is two heads looking out and beyond the shadows. So the question is, what is the relationship between the body part and the houses, and what can I learn from the Sabian symbol? All right. So here is the deal with this. I don't really know much about this. I'm going to be straight up with y'all. I don't know much about the associations of body parts with the houses or with degrees or anything like that. That is well beyond my scope. What I will say is that Sam Lauer, who I refer out to all the time, and I swear I plug her Instagram handle more than I plug my own, definitely does that stuff. So at findme_in_the_stars. Yeah, go check her out. She definitely knows what body parts are associated with these kind of things. So there's that. Also, as far as Sabian symbols go, that again, way over my head. I have tried to look into it. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. However, if you go to foreverconscious.com, Tanaz Cheb on occasion will mention them, and she also has brought in an expert from time to time to talk about the Sabian symbols, and I know there are articles about that on that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out both of those things. Here's the thing. Astrology is so freaking complex, y'all. Like, literally, I have been studying astrology since I was 11 years old, and I know the surface. Like, I feel like I know nothing. And when I say I feel like I know nothing, I can fill an entire hour-and-a-half session and only get through a quarter of a person's chart, like, in the entire hour and a half, because there's that much information there. It's really something wild. So there's always more to learn. And this is just something I haven't learned yet. So I hope that those recommendations at least can help this person, and help some of you as well. All right, I'm seeing some Becky liked the shark comment. Good. I'm glad about that. I feel like it'd just be like stardust maybe or something. Jesse says, are individual readings something you're moving away from then? And Jesse liked the shark comment too. Okay, so I've been playing with this. Basically, what Spirit has been guiding me to do. Great question, Jesse. Thank you. Basically, what Spirit has been encouraging me to do is to still offer the individual basic sessions that you can find on my website. They're still there. You can still sign up for them. But to also kind of deeply encourage people to stay away from the one-off stuff. And to encourage people to do the deeper work. That's going to be more than one session. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening. I don't fully understand it, which is why I haven't really said anything publicly about it, because I like to understand these things before I speak to them. But since the question is coming up, yeah, basically, you're more than welcome to book a reading with me, whether that's an astrology reading or a numerology reading or a card reading. And you're more than welcome to book a basic session in general, which, I mean, that's what you would do to book those things, is book a basic session. But, yeah, for some reason, I'm just being pulled to encourage people away from that, really. So that's kind of what's going on. I hope that's helpful. I appreciate your understanding. Also, Jessie says Sam is great. Hell yes, she is. She's just a wonderful human being. I'm so glad that you think so as well. Okay, cool. So, refresher course for those of y'all joining right now. If you have any questions about mental health, the psychic world, astrology, numerology, psychic senses, etc., plug them in the comment box and I will answer them when I come around to them. And until then, I am answering some anonymous questions that came in beforehand. So I am not seeing any other questions in the comment box at this point. I'm going to go ahead and keep answering stuff that came in anonymously. Also, hello to everybody who's on Facebook. It doesn't allow me to see who comes on Facebook, so I'm just saying a blanket hi. And hello, Becky. I didn't say hi to you. Okay. Next question. I want to heal the arthritis inflammations appearing in certain joints in my body. At the present, the pains in the head of right femur causing that I more often limp, and this is also affecting the right side of my lower abdomen and bladder. What is my body trying to reveal to me so that I may embrace and release? This is a really great question. So there are several things here. firstly, if you're wanting more like concrete associative information, I would recommend booking an appointment with a chiropractor or a naturopath, or some sort of Chinese system body worker who knows the meridian systems, who might be able to give you some more information on like the connectivity of like those emotional associations. So for instance, I don't know, what did you mention here? Let's see if I know anything here. For instance, my bladder. Okay, I do know that the bladder is associated with sadness, or not releasing sadness. The bladder is also associated with either not letting go or letting go too much. So somebody who might be an expert in those types of things might be worthwhile talking to, or setting up a session with them. That's specifically coming to mind for this anonymous person asking this question. There's just something there for you in setting up an appointment with a professional around this and really getting that reflected back to you, just from that point of view. I'm trying to think if there's anybody in that area of life I could recommend. Kara McNabb, I believe, does that. I want to say her website is magnoliawellnessgr.com. I might be very wrong about that, but you can find her on Instagram at the Somatic Naturopath. So that's an option. I don't know if Sarah Mockma does this, but potentially, Mockma, and you can find her stuff at luminositycommunity.com, I think, or luminositycommunitygr.com, one of those things. I know for sure that Jen Feldman does this stuff, and she's amazing at it, but she's on pregnancy leave, which is why I did not recommend her first. But you can check her stuff out at Limitless Movement on Instagram, and I believe her website is limitlessmovement.com, but I might be wrong about that. It also might be Jennifer Feldman. I don't know. I'll have to look it up, and I'll put it when I post the YouTube replay. I will put these names next to this question and like how to reach them too. So those are all recommendations I have for y'all. Jen's definitely on pregnancy. I heard somebody asking. Jen's definitely on pregnancy leave for sure for the next like month at least, if not the next 2 months. She just had the most beautiful wee one. So celebrating her in that. Also, if anybody who's watching has any recommendations, please feel free to also pop those into the comments too. I also currently have a client in the Ann Arbor area who I know is working with a chiropractor who's very well versed in this stuff. So I don't know exactly who that person is, but I've been meaning to get his info from her anyways. So I will do that, and I will also post that in the YouTube replay too. So yeah, I think there's that. And then, as y'all know, I truly, truly believe in doing work on your own too, right? It's important to have both and. Important to have space held for you, important to go to practitioners, important to do your work with other people, and also, if not just as important, perhaps even more important, to check in with yourself first. So, my biggest recommendation in this department is to put your hands physically over where your bladder might be, or over where your femur might be, or over where, I forget what else you said in your question, was the example, but over where any of those things might be. Yeah. And you don't physically have to put your hands there. It's just something I find to be helpful, and a lot of my clients have found to be helpful. Sometimes it's just about closing your eyes and tuning into that space, and ask it. And I know that sounds really bizarre, but y'all, this is becoming even a thing that like has so much backing to it that it's and I know a lot of you are going to be really happy when I say this, it's actually a technique that I was taught in my counseling program. Okay, like that's how much, like, in my westernized mainstream masters of counseling program, this was a technique that we were taught, and I was psyched to know that that was something that was being talked about in the mainstream now. There is scientific data from a psychological sense that is actually backing the validity of this now, which is really exciting. So let's say, for instance, just so you guys can see something that's like above the video frame, let's say, for instance, that your neck is bothering you. Okay, so you're going to sit there or stand there or lay there, and you're going to put your hands on your neck, or envision yourself going into your neck, and you're going to ask your neck, hello neck. You might want to introduce yourself first. Hello, neck. How are you? Not so great, huh? Okay. Why are you hurting right now? And then just see what answer comes in, right? See if usually a single answer will kind of come in right off the bat. Sometimes you might have to sit there and meditate with it. You sit there and you get the answer, and maybe, let's say, what's good for next? Stress, right? Okay, all right, you're feeling stressed out. And you can ask, why are you feeling so stressed out? Because you have too much work on your plate. Okay. Well, what can I do, neck, to make it feel like you are more peaceful, or to help take the stress away, or to work in a more copacetic way with all of the work I have on my plate? Oh, you need me to lay down for 5 minutes. Okay, I think I can find 5 minutes to do that. Or, I don't really have 5 minutes now, but can I offer 5 minutes to you later? Yes? Okay, great, thank you. Of course, there are going to be body parts that this is a little more complex for. And you need to be prepared that trauma might come up. You might have traumatic memories that come up because the body holds these memories, yeah. You might have that stuff come up, or you might have emotions that you're not expecting to feel that you feel. Any of these things are possible. So, yeah, just be prepared for that. Also, something that might be helpful to you is writing it out. If you're not somebody who can just kind of like feel into that stuff and be with it, I might suggest, grabbing a journal or a piece of paper, and as you're asking it, instead of asking out loud, or instead of feeling into the answer or saying the answer or whatever, journal it. Okay, I'm going to ask my heart. What is my heart feeling right now? And then you write it. Yeah. So I hope that that's helpful for this person. Also, I cannot recommend enough the documentary Heal, Heal. It is on Netflix still, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's also on Amazon. I can't remember if it's Prime or not. But it's really a fabulous documentary, like so fabulous, about how the body can just naturally heal itself, and how it has all of the answers, and also how more holistic modalities are helping to heal in our fields, and heal our bodies. And so, yeah, I definitely recommend that as well. That's also coming in. So thank you for that question. I hope that that's helpful. All right. Becky says, I always love so much how you are so acknowledging of each person here. Mwah! I love you. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. I actually totally forgot to check my Instagram DMs before I got on here, so I'm going to quickly pull those up and make sure that there is nothing there that came in beforehand. Y'all are seeing me on the back end here. I honestly have just stopped caring who sees that and who doesn't. Hey Jenny, thanks for being here. Because it's like, it's all just part of the process, right? Like, there are going to be back end things. I'm honestly sick and tired of like practitioners trying to pretend that everything's fluid and easy, and there isn't a whole bunch of stuff that goes on the other side, because It's just not realistic. And that's weird. Instagram is not loading for me on my computer, and oh wait, there we go. Okay, cool. Doesn't look like anybody answered that sticker or anything. Cool. Great. Just make sure I'm not missing any questions here as well. After last time, I'm like, oh no, I hope I don't miss anything. Goodness, I was not prepared for this evening as I wanted to be. That's okay. I appreciate y'all's grace. Also, I've been having weird tech issues lately these last couple days. Anybody else experiencing that? Because it's been interesting. Oops. Okay. Here we go. Normally I have these all pulled up, but for some reason... Oh no, I did do everything. Okay. Cool. Great. There was just one other one that came in on Facebook earlier, so I want to be sure to read that. Alright, so the last question that came in anonymously, and I do want to remind you guys, you're welcome to ask questions live as well. That's why it's the live Q&A. And you can do that by just dropping your comments in the box on Instagram or on Facebook. Just a reminder, if you're not following me on either, at Doorway to Self on Instagram or just Doorway to Self on Facebook, and this replay will be uploaded to YouTube/C/Doorway to Self, so you can find it there with all of the questions listed out for your convenience with the timestamp so that you know what questions were asked and when. Alrighty, so the next question that was asked was, what does a day in your life look like? And I don't 100% know how to answer that because every single day is so completely different. I felt a lot of shame actually when I first started my business because I thought I needed to look like an adult. And I thought that in order to look like an adult, I needed to be doing the same thing every day and be incredibly structured and incredibly organized and like very like, you know, day in, day out, same thing, same old, same old, same old, same old. And I don't operate that way. And I think a lot of people don't operate that way. My Venus is in Sagittarius, if that tells you guys anything. If that means gibberish to you, basically what that means is I'm an incredibly fluid person. It's very important for me to have a lot of change, in my life. And so every single day looks different. What I will say is there are 3 things that happen every single day, no matter what, at exactly the same time or close to the same time. Every single morning I wake up. My mornings are very sacred to me. Every single morning I wake up. I take my time in bed. Sometimes I get up right away, but most of the time I take my time laying in bed, really intentionally paying attention to my body, stretching, cracking my back, really getting here. Yeah, because I'm off traveling at night. Like, I go places. So many of y'all know this because you see me, you meet me places. So I need to come back. And so every single morning I wake up and I'm very intentional about that. And then before I turn my phone on, unless I do a meditation, because sometimes I do a meditation on my phone in the morning, and I have been doing that more recently, but before I turn my phone on to social media, texts, voicemails, etc., so on and so forth, I get out of bed, I go outside, doesn't matter where I am, doesn't matter if it's 12 degrees or 90 degrees out, or raining or snowing or sunning or whatever. Yes, I did just say sunning. Doesn't matter what the weather is. I go outside, usually barefoot, and I greet all of the elements. I greet all of the directions. I greet all of my guides. I ask for assistance in helping to release anything that is not my energy and send it back to wherever it came from. I ask for help to call my energy back to me from wherever it might be. I greet my ancestors. I greet the ancestors who walked the land before me, specifically the natives in this space. I honor them. I thank them. I give them tons of gratitude and love. I greet all of the elementals, all of the little nature beings that are around, the trees, the flowers, the fairies, the etc., so on and so forth. And then I greet the now, the presence of the now, and I greet the presence of love, and I ask for love to fill every single cell in my being, and I ask for love to fill the cells of every being on this planet. And sometimes I'll add other things in there if I want to or need to. I greet the ancestors of myself, so little versions of me or other age versions of me. And I greet the morning. And I say good morning to everybody and everything. And then I come inside. And at that point, I normally turn my phone on. And I get all of the messages. At that point in time, I will be honest, most of the time, I trick myself into thinking I'm doing work, but really I'm getting distracted by social media. This is a pattern I have been trying to break, except not very actively, so I'm also calling myself out on this right now, and hopefully it'll give me more accountability in breaking it. But on successful days, I am able to answer whatever notifications come in on my email and social and etc., and then I am able to get into either session or paperwork. And that's where my day tends to vary. Or self-work, or a nature walk, or. So yeah, that is one thing that is very, very stable that happens every single day. The next thing that is very, very stable that happens every single day is I will meditate at some point during the day. Usually in the late afternoon, early evening, but it depends on my schedule. So it depends on if I'm seeing clients, it depends on if I have eaten yet that day. I tend to do a lot of intermittent fasting earlier on in the day, so I tend not to eat until like noon or 3 or somewhere around there, especially if I'm doing creative stuff. I find that my creative my creative projects tend to flow more easily if I'm not eating. So like for instance, on days when I'm recording the podcast, like usually I record the podcast the day of, not gonna lie. So Thursdays, I usually will like wake up and do my morning routine and then book it to GarageBand and yeah, just like record and edit and whatever. And I will not eat until like probably 2:00 or 2:30 or something like that, which is also why I stopped booking clients on Thursdays, because I knew that like I wouldn't be done until 2:30, and then I'd want to eat, and then I'd probably get really tired after eating, so then I'd want to meditate, and then yeah, so it's just kind of, you know, whatever. But I do have door openers on Thursdays, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, because there's some movement there, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, so it really just, it depends on the day, and I tend to, if I don't have something scheduled, like if I don't have a client scheduled or I don't have a deadline scheduled or something like that, I tend to just flow with where the energy of the day is taking me. So if I come out of my morning routine and I'm like, okay, you know what? Today feels like a reports day. I'm going to write up my reports today. I'm gonna, do all of these client reports, like numerology reports or astrology, or psychic diagnostic reports, or whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna work on that. All right, cool. And sometimes that might be an all day thing. Sometimes it might be an hour, and I'm like, okay, I have to move on to something else. But you guys, there's a lot of back end stuff that happens here. I'm actually like getting ready to hire somebody right now because I just, it's too much. I get like, there's a reason I tuned into my neck earlier and was like, oh, there's stress, there's too much on my plate. Like, that wasn't coming from nowhere. That was what my body was saying. And I'm just being really transparent with y'all on that. Because it is, and especially since I've been prioritizing my these last couple of years, I've been prioritizing doing my own work on myself, and basically like that's level with my creative process and seeing clients. Like, it's like those three things are my top three priorities. And so things like, that's why you saw me take a back seat on the articles a little while ago. That's why I haven't been doing workshops, really. That's why I haven't really been sending out as many emails. I haven't been going live as much. My social media posts have really taken a back seat. So, like all of that stuff. But there's a lot to do on the back end. Not to mention, like all of the human stuff, like, like trying to put my finances together and like recording all of the stuff that comes in and all the stuff that goes out, and my mileage, keeping track of my mileage. And there are all of these little things that are big things that happen when you own and operate your own business. And so there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So yeah, basically it's interspersing my task list. That's all on me to accomplish, right? And interspersing that with my clients, who are scheduled, and interspersing that with my self-work, which includes shadow work, which includes my movement practice, which includes very long, very beautiful walks in nature and working with the land and the water. It also includes time with friends, and family, and driving. I love driving so much. So yeah, that's basically what, yeah. So I said three staple things. So first staple thing is my morning routine. Second staple thing is that meditation that happens at some point in the middle of the day. And the third staple thing is my nighttime routine, which is not something I'm going to go really in depth in because it's very personal, but essentially right before bed, I will, by candlelight, do some form of meditation before bed. So that's, yeah, those are like the three stable pillars of my day, essentially. And I work around that. And when I have clients, those become a stable pillar as well. And I just kind of, I'm like a river, y'all. I weave through the things that are set up, and I just kind of, those are my bends, and I flow around them. And, so yeah, that's what a day in my life looks like. And like, I know I've been talking a lot about how much it is, like how much work it is and how stressful and all of that stuff, but that's really because like today was one of those really, like, there was a lot on my plate days. And like, I normally don't feel this way. Like, most of the time I just feel I feel like honestly overjoyed. I really love what I do. I love what I do, and I love this body, and I love my flow, and I love being able to connect with you guys in this capacity, or in a one-on-one capacity, or through door openers or whatever. Like, all of it really lights me up. Yeah. So, just really grateful that I can do what I do And all of you are the reason for that too. You know, like, you're 50% of it. Like, yeah, I show up. Yeah, I do the work, whatever that looks like, whether that's my self work or like legitimate work. Yeah. And I put the offerings out there, but like, y'all are here. Like, you guys are watching and you're participating and you're asking the questions, and you're working on yourselves, and you're bringing this stuff to your communities. And, yeah, I can't thank you enough. Yeah. So, that's that. Hey, Robert. Hey, Shannon. Thanks, everybody, for being here. All right, Jesse says, you're doing great. I appreciate the reality. Awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Jesse says, oh, good question. I'm curious too. Yeah. There are lots of little like intricacies too about my days. Like I love my day. I love my days. I'm just, just like, I think also just like, honestly, more so than like a structure or anything like that, it's so like the little moments. It's truly the little moments that make my life so amazing. And it wasn't until I really started appreciating the little moments that I started to understand like how beautiful and magical life is. And so that's something I really want to put out there for you guys, is like, you ask me what does a day in the life of Rachel look like? Okay, let me put it in this simple sentence. A day in the life of Rachel looks like doing tasks, and every couple of minutes, like when my body needs it, just like stopping and going like, and then just being grateful that I was able to be authentic enough with myself and just do that. And like those moments of just like allowing my body to be fill me with such joy and such gratitude for all of the work that I've done to get to this place where I feel comfortable enough with myself to be able to do that. And that literally happens all day throughout the day, of just me just like or like walking around the park singing light language, or like, you know, these little things that I also hope are, and like part of it too that brings me so much joy is like knowing that these little things, oh my gosh, actually this is probably the thing that brings me the most joy, knowing that these little things are causing these huge energetic shifts that are potentially only happening in me, but probably not, right? It's happening within and without, because as within, so without. As I'm shifting myself within, I'm also shifting the world around me. And the same thing goes for you. This isn't an ego thing. This isn't like, oh, I'm all powerful. No, it's like also like you can do this too, where like you're walking around and humming to yourself. You can walk through the grocery store. Part of what I love, y'all, about this whole mask mandate thing, and I know it's being lifted, and I know it's triggering for a lot of people for me to talk about it, but maybe listening to it from this lens might change your perspective. I love that I can walk around with my mask on and nobody can see that I'm mouthing light language under my mask. Like, literally everywhere I go. That's how I've kept myself protected from, like, all of the fear that's out there. It's just, like, literally walking around just, like, it's just, like, walking around. Nobody can see it happening. And it's actually encouraged me as well to just, like, stop caring and start doing that without the mask. And, like, not really care if people look at me like I am mentally ill. Because we need to break the stigma of that anyways as well. So, yeah. Anywho, that's the answer to that question, and I appreciate that coming in. I appreciate your curiosity, and, yeah. Hope that was helpful to y'all. Aw, Jesse, I'm grateful for you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Becky says, I love that. I do sometimes with strange noises I don't usually make. It keeps life interesting. It absolutely does. It absolutely keeps life interesting. And I think, like I said, especially with that perspective on, like, you're shifting the energy. And it was, I mentioned this reading, this energy healing that I got done with my new mentors last week. Part of what was illuminated for me in that session was like the person doing the reading really saw me in the fact that it is part of my mission to be here and just like, how did she put it? How do I put it? It's kind of the same thing. Like I work with energy on a level where I'm constantly creating and I'm constantly aware of really infusing, and I've talked about this on my podcast before, I'm really conscious about really infusing everything I do with intentional energy. And I think that that's also like so much of the reason, if not the entire reason, that I love my life so much. Because like even in the hard moments, like even in the moments when perhaps I'm even like really anxious or really depressed or like, just like rooting through some really nasty stuff, which I have been since I moved to Ann Arbor. I've been very open about that. Even when I'm in those moments, there's still so much joy in those moments for me, because I'm like, oh gosh, like so much is moving and I'm being so intentional about this. And like, as I'm shifting this, it's also shifting things for other people. And it's also like helping to therefore shift the entire collective, right? It's like the butterfly effect. Like you speak one word and it changes literally the energy of everything around you. That's magic. That's pure 100% magic. It's beautiful. Yeah. All right, y'all. So we're at the end here, which is perfect because that was the last question. I didn't know how I was going to get through all of those. I'm really glad I was able to. Thank you to those of you who asked anonymously. Now, before we close out, I have a very exciting announcement to make. This is funny because part of why today has been such a ridiculously stressful day is because I have been trying to get information out to my current door openers folks before it went out to the public. I was not successful in doing such. Universe has this very funny way of giving me downloads of information at the last minute. If y'all haven't recognized that, that's definitely been a pattern of mine. I don't know why it does that. I think it's to keep me very present, but it does. Basically today, I was told, you're reopening the doors to the door openers, to the public, to apply again. And I was told, and you need to announce it on tonight's Q&A. And I'm like, oh goodness, there are so many things that need to happen before that happens. And yeah, so that's what I've been working on all day. Happy to be able to provide that. And also, applications are now open. I am doing first come, first serve, as it was the last time. The difference between this time and last time is that last time everybody was given the opportunity to apply about a month in advance, and then everyone was admitted on the exact same day, on the 555 portal day. This time around, what is being shown to me is that admission is going to be rolling. And it's going to be rolling from July 24th, which is the day of our next full moon, through the day of our next new moon, which also happens to be the 8/8 portal, so August 8th. So from July 24th to August 8th, I will be admitting ladies into the group. Ladies, of course, is an all-inclusive term of folks who are gender fluid, trans, non-binary, etc. But basically anybody who connects to the experience of being a woman in some way, shape, or form, you are welcome to apply. You can find all of the info at doorwaytoself.com/door-openers. And I can link... Is the link in my bio? Nope. See, this is one of those things that I'm like, that needed to happen today, and it did not. But that's okay. The link will be in my bio soon on Instagram. And I can link it here on Facebook real quick, too, for those of you who are wanting to check that out right now, but everything is there that you need to know, including how to apply, including the actual application, including what you're going to receive with it, and also there are 3 different tiers you can join, and yeah, literally everything you need to know is there. If you're more curious about well, what is this? What does it look like? What have people's experiences been, etc.? There are some really, really beautiful testimonials that some of the members gave last time around when it was open. So I will be putting those up on my story for you guys to see in the next couple of days. I honestly just really need to get this email out to my people who are in the group right now. I want to focus on that and then be done with my work day today because it needs to be done. But yeah, so the next couple of days I will get those out on my story. And yeah, for your own curiosity, and I'll also be sending them out in my next email as well. So if you're not signed up for the email list, you can do that at doorwaytoself.com. But I'm very, very excited to be welcoming in new members. I have a really, really good feeling about who's about to walk in the doors, pun intended. And just the women who are there right now, yeah, I think enough was said in just that. I don't think I need to even say anything more. It's just, yeah. Goodness. All right. So, with that, I'm gonna close out. So, before I do that, where else can you find me? Doorwaytoself.com is the website. That's also where you can find out how to sign up for the email list. That's also where you can find all of my offerings. There is an opening in the Doorway to Self apprenticeship program that's coming. It's going to be open really soon. So if you want to apply to that as well, you can also hit the button to join the wait list, and I'll shoot you an email and let you know how to apply. There's that. At Doorway to Self, at rachel.leah.gerson, at the Doorway to Self podcast. That's where you can find me on Instagram. Facebook, you can find me under Doorway to Self and the Doorway to Self podcast. Speaking of the podcast, you can also listen to the podcast, which comes out bi-weekly on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can find that on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, on doorwaytoself.com/podcast, through the link in my bio on Instagram. And most other podcast listening platforms. You can also find this replay in a couple of days, and all past replays at youtube.com/c/doorwaytoself. Yeah, so this Dayemi person, it's time for you to go. We're gonna wrap this up anyways, but I don't appreciate you being in this space and trying to solicit people for readings. That's just not ethical. All right, folks, I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. If you identify as a lady, I hope to see your application for the door openers soon, and I hope you all have just an amazing rest of your evening. Truly, truly, truly. Because why? Because you deserve it. Whether you believe it or not, you deserve it. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Tons of love to you all. Take care.